So this is the second part of 7-4. Before we did 45, 45, 90s, and now we're looking at 30, 60, 90s. A couple things to look at when you're looking at 30, 60, 90s. First of all, you've got that 30 degrees. I always go to the smallest angle first when I'm looking at these. And the side that's opposite the 30 degrees, that is X. Okay, always. So I always start with the smallest angle and I know the smallest side. Okay. Then, after I establish that, I'm going to take a look at my hypotenuse. Again, that's the longest side. And because it's the longest side, I'm going to call that 2x. So it's double x. Okay, which makes sense. And then anything that's left over is going to be the x root 3. Okay, so again, the first thing I label is my x. It's opposite the 30 degree. Then I do my hypotenuse, which is 2x. And then finally, I do my x root 3. All right, so I always set it up that way. Okay, now what we're going to do is let's take a look at some problems. Now, like the 45, 45, 90s that we've done in the past, I want you to write the formulas inside the triangles. It is so helpful when you do that, okay? So I'm going to grab my 30-degree angle. Here it is right here. And so I know the side opposite to that is x. I know that my hypotenuse is 2x. And I know that other side then would be x root 3. Now, some students get confused between x root 2 and x root 3 and which one goes with what triangle. You'll notice that a 30, 60, 90, they're all divisible by 3. Okay, so if they're all divisible by 3, those angles, I'm going to use x root 3. That's kind of how you remember. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at the measures. So you're going to notice that already they gave me x. So this one's going to be a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to circle the side because I'm done with it. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my hypotenuse. I've got 2x. So this is going to be 2x, which is 2 times 4. So that gives me 8. So notice how my work is organized off to the side. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go, okay, this is 8. And I'm going to circle my answer. This one's a little bit easier because there's really not a lot of work going on there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the 8. So this is 8. I'm sorry, I'm going to put in the 4. This is 4 root 3. And there's really no work to show for that. You're just substituting it in for x. Okay. Questions on that? Notice how I circled my answers. Notice how I put my formulas in the triangles. That's really important when you're doing that. All right, let's go to the next one. So the first angle that I'm going to look at is what? 30. So I'm going to grab my 30. And the side opposite to it is x. My hypotenuse is 2x. Yeah? And then this is x root 3. Okay? Now, they gave me this side, so I'm going to circle it. I've got the answer, the measure to that. But I need to solve for what? X. Okay? And it's not real easy, is it? So I'm going to come off to the side, and I'm going to go x root 3 equals 8. Okay? And I want x by itself, so I'm going to, yes, I'm going to divide by root 3. Notice that these cancel. Again, I tend to show the work so that you can see it. You do not necessarily have to show that step, but I find it really helpful for students when they do, especially if you get confused or easy. All right, so I end up with x equals 8 over what? Root 3. Okay, now, do I like that root 3 in the bottom? I do not, so I'm going to, that's right, I'm going to rationalize it. So I'm going to go root what? Root 3 over root 3. Notice that I'm not doing root 2. The reason why I'm multiplying by root 3 over root 3 is because this is a root 3. Okay? I'm not changing the value of it because root 3 over root 3 is 1. So So if I multiply something by 1, I'm not changing the value of it. Right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply across. So x equals, if I multiply across, I get 8 root 3. And root 3 times root 3 is 3. Okay? And if I take 8 and I divide it by 3, do I get a really nice number? I don't. I get something that's repeating, something that's not very good. And so I'm going to leave this alone. And so my x ends up giving me 8 root 3 over 3. And now I got that side and I'm going to circle it. The reason, again, why I circle it, I know I'm done. I know I got that side and I'm set. Okay, now I'm going to do the hypotenuse. So I'm going to take that 2x, I'm going to take out x, and I'm going to go 8 root 3 over 3. Okay, now something that you can do on that, if you get a little confused, this 2 is like 2 over 1. And you're going to multiply across. So I'm going to go 2 times 8 gives me 16 root 3. So I multiply across. Notice I multiply 2 times 8, and I leave the root 3 by itself because everything is outside that square root. And then my denominator is what's my denominator? 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so notice how I multiplied this across, and that gave me my 16 root 3, and then I multiplied by 1 times 3, and it gave me 3. Now does 16 divided by 3 come out real nice? No, it doesn't. So this is my answer. I'm done with that. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go 16 root 3 over 3, and that's my answer on that one. And now I've circled all 3 of those sides. Again, your work needs to be really organized. You need to write down the expression you're working with. You're plugging your numbers in. It's very straightforward. And then I'm circling the different answers to all 3 of those sides. It needs to be pretty easy to understand. I'm not going to go searching for numbers and go, I think this is what their answer is, but I'm not real sure. Questions on that? Okay, let's go to this next one then. I'm going to grab my what angle now? 30. Side opposite is x. Hypotenuse? 2x. Other side? X root 3. Okay? Also notice that when I put that in, I don't make them really big so that it's really difficult to see which they belong to, what side they belong to. So try to make it somewhat like small. Okay, so I've got this side. So what do I need to solve for? X. So I'm going to go 2x equals what? 6. I need to solve for x, so I'm going to divide by 2. X gives me 3. There's my answer. Come over here. This is 3. Circle it. I'm done. Questions? Okay, the last side, how do I find that one out? Yeah, all I'm going to do is substitute that x. See, this is an x, and I got it over there. So I'm going to go 3 root 3, and I'm done. There's not a lot of work on that. So if it's just a simple substitution, there really is no work. You take out your variable, put in your number, and you're done. Questions? Okay, we've just got a couple more yet to do. So I'm going to take a look at this next one. Okay, what angle? 30. Side opposite is x. Hypotenuse? 2x. Other side? Yes. Very good. And again, you need to put them in because otherwise you get kind of lost in the problem. So I've got this side solved. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go 2x equals 14 root 3. How do I solve for x? Divide by Yes, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. My 2's cancel, so x gives me, what do you want? What do you got? Yeah, it's 7 root 3. Okay, and how I got the 7 was, you see the 14 and the 2 right there. They're both outside that radical. It comes off really nice. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so I get 7 root 3. Okay, so I'm going to go find my x, and I'm going to go 7 root 3. So I've got that second side. Okay, now I got to figure out x root 3. There's a little more work involved on that one. So I'm going to take out x, and I'm going to put 7 root 3, and then I've got root 3. So I'm doing substitution. Okay, and what do I get? What's root 3 times root 3? It's 3. It's either the square root of 9, so square root 3 times square root 3 is square root 9. What's the square root of 9? 3. Yep, it's perfect square. So 7 times 3, so I end up with 21. So I come back up here, and I'm going to go this equals 21, and I'm going to circle it, and I know that I'm done. Questions on this? Okay, let's go to the last one. Right? Find what angle? 30. Side opposite? X. Hypotenuse? Last side? Okay. So I have this side solved. So what do I do next? Very good. X root 3 equals 6. Okay, now what? Divide by root 3. So that's the number by x. Okay, they cancel. So x gives me 6 over root 3. Now what? Rationalize. Yep. So I'm going to multiply by over. Very good. Yeah. So x equals, what's my numerator? Very good. 6 root 3. Again, I'm moving across. Those two together are 6 root 3. And then root 3 times root 3 gives me 3, right? Because root 3 times root 3 is root 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay? And yeah, you could do it in your calculator. However, that's where you lose time on tests. That's where you lose time on like ACTs. That should be something that's fairly easy to do. But if you don't see that, it's taking time by plugging it in your calculator for every single problem. Okay. Is this one reduced? No. Okay, so this becomes x what? 2 root 3. Yep. Because the 6 and the 3 are outside that radical, they can be reduced and come out nice and even. So 2 root 3. So I'm going to go back. This is 2 root 3. Okay, I've got the 2x. Oops. So I'm going to grab 2x. What am I going to do with that? Yep. Good. So I'm going to take out the 2, or I got the 2 there, and I'm going to put in 2 root 3 for x. So again, I use that substitution. What do I get when I do this? 4 root 3. Yep. So then I go back up. This equals 4 root 3, and I circle it. So notice that I've got the formulas inside the triangle. I got my answers right outside the triangle and I circled them. And then underneath, I'm organized, okay? I've got my expression, I'm solving it, get done, circle it, take that answer, put it by the triangle, okay? That's really the best way to do some of these, so you don't get lost within the problem. Questions on 30, 60, 90s? Okay.